Yeah. AHumbleSoul, we checking back in, man. I want to put some on the channel about UNLV, a legendary New Orleans rap group that really did their thing, man. They really put on for the NO, man, back in the 90s, early to mid 90s for sure. Just want to shine a light on their music career, man. Really that time with Cash Money and how they help, lay the foundation for Cash Money Records, to grow into what it's become today. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into it, man. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the button ASAP. 100. So yeah, man, UNLV came up in the uptown of New Orleans, 3rd Ward, 6 in Baron. And it started off as a 2-man team, really, with Lil Ya and Tech 9. They met in middle school, and they both like rap music, it's just music in general. They used to rap with each other, man, bounce ideas off each other. And they ended up, forming this group called the Sporty MCs. It actually had Lil Ya's little sister in the group too. And at that time, they were rapping positively, you know what I'm saying? This is during the crack epidemic. So they were rapping about how it was impacting their neighborhood, man, and just the city of New Orleans, and why it was important, man, to say no to drugs and all that. So they was on that type of wave initially. And they go into these different talent shows, winning everything, Actually, one of the talent shows that they went to was sponsored by a big radio station in New Orleans, and the grand prize was $500, I believe, and an opportunity to record music. And they won, you know what I'm saying? And they got the money, but for one reason or another, nothing ever came about with them recording music. After that negative experience, man, they decided to jump in the streets, man, and start hustling. It wasn't until years later when they started seeing some of the same people they had competed against in these talent shows get record deals, like Devious or DJ Jimmy. These were artists that they knew. They decided to take another shot at it, man. Around this time, New Orleans was really blazing hot with the crime, and a lot of shootings were taking place, and they would actually end up becoming the murder capital of the U.S. at a point in time. But so they switched their name, you know what I'm saying, from the Sporty MCs to UNLV. Lil Ya had a friend or a cousin, man, who had a crew who went by, UNLV, which is an acronym for Uptown Niggas Living Violent. He thought it would be catchy. They switched the name around and they switched their content around. And Lil Ya and Tech ended up recording this song called Another Trick, or Another B, the explicit version. And they dubbed a whole bunch of tapes. They just started selling tapes, man, selling them to different people around the city, and it took off. They got some radio play, performing at different clubs, man. It was a good look for them. Baby and Slim ended up getting their hands on one of the tapes, and they liked what they heard. They invited them to join the label. And at this time, like I said, it was still 2 people. It was Lil Ya and Tech. Yellow Boy wasn't in the equation yet, which is the 3rd member of UNLV. Although, Lil Ya and Yellow Boy knew each other from an early age, and he ran with them, after they formed the whole UNLV clique. It was like 6 or 7 of them totally. But, Yellow Boy wasn't rapping at that time. He was more so known to be a dancer. He decided to try rapping out, man, and he recorded his first song, Eddie Bow, and they shared it with Cash Money. They liked what they heard, They signed a deal with Cash Money Records, man. This was in 1992, and at that time, it wasn't a big roster. From what I understand, UNLV was the first actual rap group to sign to Cash Money, and they put out their debut project, 6 in Baron, the following year in 1993, which set the city on fire. They recorded that entire project in Manny Fresh's kitchen, sitting on milk crates, passing one microphone around to each other to rap their verses, But yeah, man, after that, they put out the album Straight Out of the Gutter in 94, and in 95, they released Mac Melf Calliope. Around this time, man, they actually had, a rap/street beef with another New Orleans rap group, Partners in Crime, who had reportedly, entertained the idea of joining Cash Money. Lil Ya actually said in an interview that they had came and performed for Cash Money, but they didn't get selected. But in one of the interviews I saw from Partners in Crime, I think it was a misdemeanor interview, he was talking about how when they went to chop it up with Cash Money, they overheard Yellow Boy talking about how UNLV hadn't been paid for their album Six and Barone, and that kind of popped up as a red flag and persuaded them not to, sign the Cash Money. So it's different stories, but long story short, Partners in Crime was dissing UNLV. UNLV decided to diss them on the song Bout It, off their project, Mac Melf Calliope. They dissed a couple other people on there too, and was just throwing shots at the label that Partners in Crime was on, which was Big Boy Records, another local New Orleans rap label. So there was a little rivalry between Cash Money, Big Boy, Partners in Crime, UNLV. According to Lil Yachty, it spilled over into the streets where guns were pulled, fights took place and all of that, man, but nobody's lives were taken. So that was a fortunate thing to know that it didn't get too out of hand. But just talking about Big Boy Records, man, it not only had Partners in Crime, but it had, Mystical, it had Fiend, it had Sporty T, etc. And Mystical actually decided to diss UNLV. He dissed him on a couple of tracks, on his album in 1995, The Mind of Mystical. One of the songs was Y'all Ain't Ready Yet, and the other song was Here I Go, which ended up being one of Mystical's biggest songs. He dissed Yellow Boy on that song, and on Y'all Ain't Ready Yet, he dissed UNLV as a whole. So, Mystical at the time, he wasn't a big fan of the whole bounce movement that New Orleans had going. He felt like it was just a whole lot of repetition, monkey see, monkey do going on, where everybody was following the same pattern, putting out the same type of music. He was focused on and determined to bring something new and fresh to the game. So he wasn't really rocking with the bounce movement, and he ended up dissing UNLV, who was known to make bounce music to a certain extent. Initially UNLV didn't really entertain it, man, but on their project Uptown for Life, which ended up being their last album on Cash Money Records, this was released in 1996. They came out with their biggest hit to date, Drag 'Em in the River, Yellow Boy's solo song, going at Mystical. Mystical and Yellow Boy ended up crossing paths multiple times, and, guns were pulled and all of that, but it never got too out of hand. Lil Yachty actually said that Yellow Boy never intended to hurt Mystical, that when he pulled out a gun one time when he saw him, that he was just, messing around. Mystical and UNLV, they actually all went to high school together. UNLV at the time was in the band, and Mystical, from what I understand, was a male cheerleader, Lil Yachty actually revealed too that they, were friends with Mystical before everything even went to diss songs, and that Mystical came to him and asked him if he would be cool if they did like a friendly rap battle. So that's some background that people may not be aware of, that it really wasn't as serious as it may have seemed to be, that they all were actually cool, that it was kind of like it was staged to a certain extent. But yeah, man, getting back on track, UNLV's album Uptown for Life, that ended up being their most successful album in their catalog so far. It sold more than 250,000 copies independently, and like I said, they had the smash Drag 'Em in the River, as well as some other hits on there. They was getting a lot of radio play, so after that they had reached their album agreement with Cash Money. UNLV decided that they wanted to renegotiate, and they came up with a certain number that they wanted Cash Money to give them to continue to stay on the label and do business, man. But it didn't end up working out, man, and UNLV decided to part ways with Cash Money. Something interesting to say, man, about UNLV's time on Cash Money is the relationship or the tension between, Yellow Boy and Birdman and Baby. It's said, man, that Yellow Boy was somebody who was, obviously very charismatic, one of the fan favorites of the group, had a unique style, but he also was somebody who was rebellious and really used to bump heads a lot with Cash Money and Baby, man. In particular, they reportedly, even got into a fist fight that, Yellow shot up his house, shot up his car before, over unpaid royalties. And it even was, other rumors circulating surrounding Yellow Boy's, unfortunate murder in 1997. Alleged rumors that, Baby was linked to that, or his brother was linked to that. Nothing more than rumors. You know, but yeah, talking about Yellow Boy, you know, he was addicted to heroin. According to Lil Yachty, it was Yellow Boy and Tech Nine were both addicted to heroin, you know. But April of 1997, you know, Yellow Boy had reportedly, you know, went uptown in New Orleans to buy some dope, and while he was sitting in his trooper, you know, he was shot in the head, and he passed away, you know. And like I said, the different rumors started to circulate surrounding that, but his murder to this day remains a cold case. It hasn't been solved. But you know, UNLV never let that stop him from putting out music, man, and they've continued to keep his name alive, you know. They've went on and released a number of independent projects. They never really released anything as big as the stuff they put out on Cash Money, man, but nevertheless, they've maintained relevance, you know. They actually ended up suing Cash Money for an undisclosed amount of money, and they also won their masters back.
Once we went to court and shit like that, we won our case. And what we won probably was more than much greater what we asked for, you know what I'm saying? You know, we won the masters to all our music we ever put out under Cash Money. Plus, you know, a certain amount of money, you know, undisclosed amount of money.
We family now, we don't do all that shit no more. Just give me all the teasing. It's all good. Fresh, you up here, nigga. What's that? You gotta play for the man in Fresh Canasta. CEO, give us one. What's that, Corey?
You know, shout out to UNLV, one of the groups who laid the foundation for Cash Money Records. You know, definitely legends, man, when it comes to New Orleans rap. Very influential and instrumental in like that 90s era, early to mid 90s era of New Orleans rap, and pioneers, you know what I'm saying, in the game for sure. Shout out to everybody tuning in, man, and rocking with AHumbleSoul. If you messing with the video, hit the like button, man. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already connected with us. Until next time, I'ma holler at y'all, man. It's your guy Lewis checking in 100.